This is Valley News Live at noon.
We begin with new information on a death investigation near Wadena. We're now learning that two people who were found dead in a home on Friday night died from an apparent murder-suicide. The Otter Tail County Sheriff's Department says a 25-year-old man killed his 25-year-old wife and then took his own life. Autopsies are now underway on those two people. Their names are not being released at this time. We also have new information on an assault in Grand Forks. Police say they have now released the name of the suspect. Police say 27-year-old Jared Adams followed a woman into a secure apartment building and asked to use her phone. He then went into her apartment and assaulted her before running away. Police eventually found him and arrested him for kidnapping, terrorizing, felonious restraint, and simple assault. Police say it happened yesterday morning in the 2600 block of 13th Avenue South. The investigation is ongoing, but officials say there is no threat to the public. More roads are closing due to the flooding. Less than an hour ago, the Minnesota Department of Transportation announced the closure of Highway 75 from Highway 171 to the Canadian border. The department also says Highway 6, which is 3 miles south of Highway 1, is still open but has water over the road, so you're urged to drive with caution. To view Minnesota's full road report, head to the Valley News Live website and click on the weather page. Let's go over to Summer Schnellbach with a look at the current water levels. Summer?
Yeah, thank you so much, JC. That flood fight is continuing across the region with those rising river levels after a lot of rain fell over this last weekend. Some areas had several inches of rain falling, and that has led to some rising river levels, widespread overland flooding, and the second wettest April on record in Fargo. April of this year, 5.45 inches of rain fell in Fargo. That's the measurement from the airport. The current record, just a little above that, 5.49 in 1886. The third wettest, 4.69 inches in 1937. Grand Forks, this was the wettest April, or second wettest, should say, 5.47 inches. The current record was from 1896 at 5.59. Now I want to show you this graphic here. All of the areas, the boxes in green, are river flood levels. River flood warnings, but take a look at some of these dots, all of the purple dots. Notice there's a lot up north. That is where rivers are entering major flood stage. All the dots in red indicate moderate flood stage. The Red River at Fargo is currently expected to rise to 26 feet, which is moderate flood stage, by about Thursday. And looking at the Grand Forks Red River, expected to crest right around 46 feet, which is the same river level it peaked last week with that initial crest from those rising river levels. Good news, JC, today's quiet. We do have a few flurries out there, which is annoying for May 2nd, but temperatures will be rising into the 40s. I'll have your much drier forecast and a look at a couple more river levels coming up in just a little bit.
Lots to go over. Thank you, Summer. Looking westward, Bismarck police are now investigating a shooting incident. Police say they were investigating a stolen vehicle report this morning, which led them to a mobile home. They say a person ran out the back door, and during a pursuit, the person shot at an officer who returned fire. The latest report from police is that the suspect is barricaded and West Dakota SWAT is heading to the scene. Evacuations from a battered steel plant in the Ukrainian port city of Mariupol continues today, freeing civilians who say they haven't seen daylight in weeks. Lawmakers from the United States are in Poland today, then they'll head home to shore up more funding in Congress. The White House is asking them to approve another $33 billion in aid to Ukraine. Meanwhile, President Biden is traveling tomorrow to a Lockheed Martin facility in Alabama that produces Javelin missiles. They're among the weapons the U.S. is sending to Ukraine. Democratic leadership wants passage of Ukraine aid before the Memorial Day recess. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz held a ceremonial signing this morning to celebrate the passage of a bill that directs payments to frontline COVID workers. It'll also provide tax relief for small businesses and replenishes the unemployment trust fund. State legislators struck a deal that includes $500 million in bonuses for workers who took risks during the pandemic and funnels $2.7 billion to the trust fund. Veterans from the Red River Valley are wrapping up their tour of our nation's capital, the first honor flight since the COVID pandemic put a temporary stop to the trips. Today, they toured the National Archives. There were several stops over the weekend, including the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Lincoln, Korean, and Vietnam memorials. Honor Flight is a way to show appreciation and say thanks to men and women who served our country. And along for the journey was Valley News team's Mike Borkin. The group will be returning to Fargo around 6 tonight. We're planning to be there live during our newscast and hope that you'll gather inside the airport to welcome them home too. Coming up at noon, one woman's warning after battling the most common form of cancer in young adults. But next, Summer Schellbach is in to tell us with details on how the forecast will help area river levels.